work, it's my pleasure to say, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Thank you, John. And there you can hear the engines have started, and we're ready for the great race.
Now there's a mad scramble as the support crews leave the grid. The marshals urging them on, hurrying them on, because they're ready for the start. The great race. The aerial view again from the Channel 7 helicopter. Pilot Terry Lee, cameraman Doug Hampson. It won't be long now before they begin that hectic scramble and take the left-hander in the mountain straight for the first time.
163 laps racing the drivers. On the front row of the grid, Bartlett in a Camaro, Johnson in a Falcon. Right behind them, Johnny Hardie in the number 2 Holden dealer team car, and alongside him in the second of the Marlborough entries, Peter Brock, the man who has won here 4 times in all, a record he shares with Alan Moffat further back in the grid. They're the top 4, and there'll be a real catfight in these opening laps.
You're kidding that Bartlett and Johnson aren't going to be watching the rearview mirror for Peter Brock. What a scramble.
Dick Johnson, the popular favourite. I can't recall in recent years how one man has so captured the imagination of the public. A real battler, if I could use that term in the most affectionate sense, who has got up here by sheer skill and determination on the front row of the grid. Behind the Marlborough Holden dealer team pair, you have Alan Grice. And there the view from the man alongside him, Bobby Morris's car, the Channel 7 Breville entry. You can just see in the rear vision mirror Bob Morris making a last minute check of his instruments, and you'll be right up in the action with a very fast car when we go racing with Bobby Morris in car number 7, adjusting his gloves.
There's Brock, the reigning Australian Touring Car Champion, the man who had pole here last year and who won the race last year, who led throughout last year, not used to being where he is at the moment, and he's going to be looking to turn the tables on the pair that have taken the top spots on the grid away from him.
The early question we have to answer, of course, is whether the Chev Camaro, the heaviest car in the race, the car on the right-hand side of the grid, 3,400 pounds in weight, has got quite the same acceleration as some of the lighter cars, and I think it might be Dick Johnson in the Blue Falcon who'll go for the front. It could be John Harvey, the man nearest you, who may have been given the role to get there and unsettle his front pair and leave the running to Peter Brock on the far side in the dark red helmet. And let Peter Brock try and become the first man ever to win this race 5 times. Count down, 10 seconds to go. And it's Johnson who's got the start, and it's a slow start by Kevin Bartlett in the Camaro. The cars are peeling around, and here's the view from Bobby Morris's car.
It's Dick Johnson of Queensland who leads on the time up with Peter Brock tucked in behind him. John Harvey is next, and Bartlett now starting to make up a lot of ground after a very slow start.
Very poor start indeed by Bartlett. I don't know what happened to him.
It's just a big and slow car off the mark, but it's got long legs and over 1,000 kilometres. That'll probably count. But it's Johnson who's away, and he doesn't want to be in any other position throughout the entire race. And he's got a long lead, and Brock is after him.
And Bartlett now up into 3rd place after that run up the mountain.
Well, that shows the legs of the Camaro. He made up a lot of ground and passed 3 cars going up there, just in front of Johnny Harvey. Then it's Alan Grice next, who made a good start and is perfectly positioned. But it's Dick Johnson from Queensland, who for the first time draws the cheers of the crowd, and the Ford flags are out as they come flying up the top of the mountain on lap 1 of the Hardie Ferodo 1000 for 1980.
Wait for the cheers from the crowd as they come across the top of the mountain on lap 1 of the great race for 1980, the Hardie Ferodo 1000. You'll be able to see the spectators, absolutely placards waving, standing there cheering because the Ford's going to lead the first lap of this race. Bartlett is back into 3rd place. Very poor start. But he's managed to displace Harvey, I think it is. That great shot of the cutting. Look at the wheels hiking as they come down through this part of the course. Moffat, followed by Ron Dixon, then Murray Carter.
Peter Jansen, well placed, the man who came 2nd last year. Content to play a waiting game. He's in car number 4.
Now this is where we should see the long legs of the Camaro as they come on to Breville Conrod straightaway.
And Mike Raymond, an ominous sign for Alan Moffat fans, oil already appearing, whipping round the back. He had an oil leak in the practice session, which did no more than deposit oil on the exhaust pipe. It could be that, or it could be something more serious, because last night, Alan Moffat's team rebuilt the engine for his car. And here,
this is from Bobby Morris's car as he goes after. Morris coming down right behind Alan Grice, as you can see in the Craven Mile car. Then the Marlborough Dealer Team Commodore there on the inside. Now they swing back for the completion of the first lap. And it's Queensland's Dick Johnson who leads from Peter Brock. Next is Kevin Bartlett, followed by Alan Grice, John Harvey. Bobby Morris is the next one, 100 metres back to Charlie O'Brien, and the next is Larry Perkins, then followed by Gary Rogers and Alan Moffat blowing a pall of smoke as they complete the first lap of the Hardie Ferodo 1000.
You can see Bob Morris's face in the right there, looking at the instruments, looking straight ahead. We'll be able to talk to him all through the race, and he can talk back to us, but things will be pretty busy there at the moment, I would think, in the cockpit of the Breville Channel 7 Falcon.
It's the view down Conrod Straight, and Dixon's got through there to lead Moffat. Moffat's still blowing that smoke from the rear of the car as they approach the turn into pit straight. Meantime, Dick Johnson has gone through the completion of his second lap, still pursued by Peter Brock and Kevin Bartlett, then Alan Grice, Bobby Morris and John Harvey.
Well, you think it was the fog rolling in, but it's not. It's the smoke coming out of the back of Alan Moffat's Federation Unipart entry. Murray Carter just sitting in behind him in another XD Falcon. It certainly isn't blowing as much as that. They head off up pit straight one more time. Well, Dick Johnson of Queensland, for all our Queensland viewers, has led the second lap of the race. They're doing it very strongly indeed. Here's Murray Carter moving up on the tailpipe of Alan Moffat and passes him quite easily. Just ahead of them is the Ron Dixon Chevrolet Camaro. Then in behind them, of course, the Citizen Watches entry with Gary Cook and Warwick Brown.
And so it's Murray Carter who's barreled by Alan Moffat, chasing Ron Dixon. An incredible man, Murray Carter. He won his class in the first Armstrong 500 at Phillip Island 20 years ago. And there he is out carrying the flag for Ford and driving like a real tiger. But the man who's leading the race and doing even better is Dick Johnson.
Well, a privateer is Dick Johnson, who did so well, debuted this car in the recent CRC Chemicals 300 at Amaroo Park. Didn't put a spanner on the car from the day he turned up to practice until the day they qualified on the first day of the race, and went on to finish in second place. And he's out in front leading from Peter Brock. Kevin Bartlett has gained back third place, and I think is zeroing in on the tailpipe of Peter Brock, looking for a slingshot at him on Breville Conrod Straight.
We have cars in the pits already. The Army Reserve Falcon has come in with Bobby Muir, and the Queensland Toyota Dealers car number 47, which had trouble through the practice session. They had to change the engine. Wally Scott, he too is in the pits.
Yes, well, he's going back out again, the Bob Muir and the Army Reserve entry, getting back out after a cursory pit stop. But that has probably thrown out any chance they've had of running on the top 10 in the first hour of this race. Here comes our race leader, True Blue, number 17. That's Dick Johnson in the Palmer Tube Mills entry. Coming down into the left-hander, brings it back on for the completion of the third lap. That blue Ford is running very strongly indeed. Kevin Bartlett, who missed the start, has now made it up. He's to second place. Peter Brock is third. Alan Grice is fourth. Bobby Morris is fifth. And John Harvey is sixth.